Hello everyone, Shane Holloway here. Welcome to the Shane Holloway Show. And today we got a great show for you, so stick around. And first up, we have a very rare footage of a Russian NS-7760 Kinzhal ballistic missile from a MiG-31 carrier as seen from the cockpit. Maybe the only footage that we have. So you can see it right here. This is the inside. And then he's going to turn. See the missile? Look how high they are above. That's got to be freaky. Next up, we have what's called Operation Southern Spear. And to explain it to us, we have News Nation. This is a developing story. So this was, I showed you yesterday where all the military ships were in an animation. Now this is the news story.
Developing this morning, the United States is sending its strongest message yet to alleged drug traffickers from Venezuela. These are the latest images of the USS Gerald Ford, the world's largest aircraft carrier, making a beeline towards South America as part of Operation Southern Spear.
You can see the bombers and the fighter jets with them too.
On a mission to target suspected narco-terrorists.
Well, this might not be a bomber. This might be like carrying cargo or something, you know?
News Nation's Tom Dempsey has the latest from the White House. Tom, what do we know about this latest military buildup?
Hey, Alex, good morning from the White House. Well, this morning, thousands of U.S. service members, as well as warplanes, fighter jets, and war boats are in the Latin American region right now as part of this military campaign known as Operation Southern Spear. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced the naming of this operation in a post to social media, writing, quote, "This mission defends our homeland, removes narco-terrorists from our hemisphere, and secures our homeland from the drugs that are killing our people." Just this week, a Pentagon source told our partners at The Hill that 4 people were killed in the 20th lethal strike against alleged drug boats. Attacks in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific Ocean have killed at least 80 people so far. The president's team saying these strikes will help stop.
So again, for anyone who didn't see my last episode, you can actually see, like, this is not fish. And this thing has 3 engines right here.
President's team saying these strikes will help.
And there's only one guy. Like, who goes there fishing by themselves in the middle of the ocean in a little tiny boat that can barely hold any fish, completely already over encumbered with stuff and with 3 engines?
Stop the flow of illegal drugs coming into the United States. And President Trump has hinted in the past that this military operation may involve land strikes inside Venezuela moving forward.
All right. So this is also someone else. This is them explaining it. So this is U.S. Defense Secretary Hegseth announces an anti-drug military mission, Operation Southern Spear, into the Latam region. At least 80 killed on U.S. strikes on suspected drug boats.
Secretary Pete Hegseth has unveiled Operation Southern Spear, a sweeping campaign, he says, is aimed at dismantling narco-terror networks across the Western Hemisphere. Hegseth even said that the military operation will be run by Joint Task Force Southern Spear, along with the Southern Command, which oversees military operations across 31 countries in South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. Operation Southern Spear comes amid leadership turnover at Southern Command, with Admiral Alvin Holsey expected to retire in mid-December.
Secures our homeland from the drugs that are killing our people. The Western Hemisphere is America's neighbor, and we will protect it.
That is years earlier than planned.
So wait, let me slow this down a little bit for you.
That is years earlier than planned. Also, U.S. strikes on suspected drug-running boats have killed as many as 80 people in the last 2 months. Washington claims that the vessels were ferrying narcotics towards American shores. Right groups and some U.S. allies have, however, blamed the Donald Trump administration for violating international law. Secretary of State Marco Rubio defended the strikes, saying that European critics do not get to dictate how Washington protects itself. According to CBS reports, senior military officials have briefed Trump on updated options for possible strikes inside Venezuela. However, no final decision has been taken as of yet. Also, the mission's expansion is raising tensions in the region, with Panama's president, Jose Raul Mullindo, saying that the ongoing U.S. military exercises on its soil are not part of any plan that targets Venezuela.
Yeah, so I think people are accusing Panama of being involved in this because America is doing drills in Panama right now. So Panama's denying that.
The drills allowed under a new security agreement have sparked protests.
I think this is the USS Gerald Ford. This is the biggest aircraft carrier in the world.
Concerns about foreign military presence on Panamanian soil.
It's actually massive.
Regarding Venezuela, we have nothing to do with that. Panama is not lending its territory for any hostile acts against Venezuela or any other country in the world.
All right, so next up, we're going to go through...
to discuss.
They're going to discuss it with the retired... well, he'll tell you what he is.
Major Mike Lyons. Always good to talk to you. When we look at where things stand this morning and how this is all adding up, what we heard from Secretary Hegseth overnight, what do you believe is at play here?
Well, good morning, Erica. I think this is a rebranding of an operation that started back in January of 2025. And I think the Navy thought they wrapped it up during the summertime. But to put this performative leverage out in front and center now from the United States' perspective is just showing that we're projecting power. We're showing what our capability is. It's reinforcement of the Monroe Doctrine that says the United States control everything in this hemisphere. It's been something that, from a foreign policy perspective, we've abided by. So there's a lot of bluster. There's a lot of things I think that really won't amount to anything, frankly. I think that this, though, gives the Department of Defense this opportunity to lead this operation as opposed to law enforcement or Coast Guard operations in particular. And but it's going to cause rules of engagement. Other factors, though, will
see how these are all the unclassified videos so far.
More common.
So you got September, October 14th, October 18th, 29th, November 6th, September 16th. I guess this is 19th, September 19th, September 15th, October 3rd, October 17th, November 4th, November 1st, October 28th.
You mentioned, you called it performative, projecting strength here, too. We also can't ignore the mass mobilization, right? The Maduro called up in Venezuela this week. I was struck by some of CNN's reporting overnight, too, just talking about a briefing that happened earlier in the week. CNN's reporting that it was really the way that the briefing went down, specifically as briefers described those killed in action, that echoed the playbook of the drone war in Afghanistan and Pakistan. And some of what they said, what we heard here from one source familiar, as you see there, one source telling CNN in the meeting, I was like, wait a minute, enemy KIA killed in action. What war are we talking about here? What declared conflict am I missing? The fact that these terms were used to describe these operations, does that also say something to you in terms of the language that's being used?
Well, to me, it says that it's like they're treating them like terrorists, right?
For sure. They're just changing the messaging, and they're applying the messaging that's normally used in these combat zones over here into our hemisphere. It's unusual. The task force that's deployed here is nothing more than task force we deploy across the world in order to project power. We're just doing it in our own backyard. We've just not done these kinds of things before. So it is. It's all about messaging and making sure that the Department of Defense is leading this effort by making this message in such a manner that it's telling our partners and adversaries alone that leverage is now going to be implied coming from the strength of our military in the region.
As all of this is playing out, as there are questions about the ultimate goal that the United States has there, whether it is regime change, how that would actually play out, we can't ignore what has happened on the intel front this week. CNN's exclusive reporting about the UK saying they would no longer share intelligence on vessels in the area because of concerns. Colombia.
Yeah, so UK came out and said they're not going to share intelligence anymore with the US because they don't want to be involved in what's going on down here.
Of that, saying they are no longer going to share.
And Colombia, but I mean, isn't Colombia communist? Like,
intel, how damaging could that potentially be to the broader U.S. efforts?
And they also sell a ton of drugs.
To stop the flow of drugs.
But I got nothing against Colombian people.
Into the United States.
Well, there's 2,500 metric tons of cocaine that leave Colombia and make their way to the United States on an annual basis, and blowing up a few ships in the Pacific and the Caribbean is not going to stop that.
If you watch my last episode, they just got 13,000 tons of cocaine in Panama.
Flow, it'll come in other manners, which is why I think this is just so performative. I think the United States will work harder, use intel assets on the ground, go after the sources like we did back in the 80s. We had this operation back in the 80s to try to take some of that down, but the demand is just so furious in our country, and then the drugs get to Mexico, mixed with fentanyl, and there we go. So again, they're just reframing this as this narco-terrorist operation war to protect our homeland. But there's a couple tells. First of all, if we were going to invade Venezuela, you'd have to see the army involved with this, and you don't see any army units deployed just yet. This is a naval operation for sure with Marines, and while it's also not Panama, Venezuela is a real country that have real military. It would be a very difficult military mission to think that we can invade that country and have any kind of success without taking the kind of casualties that the American public would tolerate.
Major Mike Lyons, always appreciate your insight and your expertise. Thank you.
I think that America would absolutely blow them right out of the water, but he's the military guy, so we're going to defer to him, I guess. I don't like see it. He's retired, and CNN is kind of biased, so take that with a grain of salt, guys. Next up, we have I think he won the Civilian Journalist Award. Either that or it was O'Keefe. But I know that he was a runner-up at least, so I wanted to show him off. And this also explains who Antifa really are. So Antifa, if you didn't know, started off in the 30s, I think. Went against the rise of fascism, which you would think would make them good people, but they're just as radical as the Nazis were. So they aren't good people either. So anti-fascist, Antifa. Get it? Now this guy sees himself as an Antifa guy, and a lot of people are saying Antifa don't exist, so I just wanted to show you what Antifa is and what they act like and what they look like and that they're real.
You're a f***ing Nazi! Yourself.
What'd you say?
You're a Nazi and your face is ugly.
Oh, thank you.
And it gives me the ick, and you should get the out of here. Your presence upsets me,
okay,
man.
Then.
Get the out of here.
Get away from me then.
No, you look scared as
I hear you.
That's why you look scared as
I look scared?
Yeah,
look at you got all you guys following everybody. Like, what are you guys doing? To do something?
No.
You guys are the ones saying you're gonna do something, and then he pushes you guys, and then you guys freak out.
They get aggressive with umbrellas. They put an umbrella over your face. It's a personal safety thing. You can't put umbrellas in people's face, man.
Snipers on the roof. Put the light on. Look how they all just start running. Why? Why ask me?
Racist piece of shit.
How am I a racist piece of shit?
Fuck off, dog. Because you are, dude.
How?
You gonna pretend you're not?
I got a black friend right here.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh, okay.
It's true.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're not a racist piece of shit. Holding white supremacy right now, you piece of shit.
Fucking Uncle Tom.
There you go. Be racist. Be
See,
racist.
so
you will, right? Like you just said. I will.
So that's Nick Shirley. Next up, we have some bad news out of Cambodia and Thailand. A landmine sparks fierce fighting on the Thai-Cambodian border, killing soldiers and ending months of fragile peace. With both sides trading blame, the Trump-brokered deal lies in ruins, and Southeast Asia braces for what comes next. So this is WeOn News, and
this
you're going to
is
explain it.
That once promised peace has crumbled in gunfire and smoke. A deadly clash has erupted on the Thai-Cambodia border, shattering the Trump-brokered deal signed just months ago. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet says 3 civilians have been wounded and 1 killed. An ASEAN observer team visited injured people. Cambodian government officials called on Thailand to cease the use of force and also called for an independent investigation into the incident.
That attack came after the Thai military had carried out numerous provocative actions over the past few days with the intention of inciting clashes.
Both sides accuse each other of provocation and failing to uphold commitments. Earlier this week, Thailand paused implementation of a follow-on deal to wind down hostilities, claiming a blast from a newly laid landmine had wounded 4 of its soldiers. The Thai Foreign Ministry said it had demanded an apology from Cambodia after accusing it of laying landmines. 5 days of combat erupted between Thailand and Cambodia this summer, killing 43 people and displacing around 300,000 before a truce backed by US President Donald Trump took effect. The dispute between Thailand and Cambodia centers on a century-old disagreement over borders mapped during France's colonial rule in the region, with both sides...
Did you see that? Go back. I've never seen this part of the video. Okay, wait, watch this.
Between Thailand and Cambodia...
This drone
on a century-old
goes up, drops this thing,
with both sides
boom,
of boundary temples. The stakes are high. Thailand and Cambodia's economies and security are in.
You know what? I'd say they're blowing up landmines with the drones.
But disputes over territory and sovereignty have bred mistrust. The failure of the Trump-brokered peace deal signals more instability ahead without urgent dialogue and confidence building.
Okay, next up we have Iran. Bum, 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 Iran. All right, so, okay, wait. This is not supposed to be reloaded. So we have Yair Pinto, who started off as an IDF soldier and then became really famous for posting updates about the war with when the Gaza war first broke out. And he became so popular that TBN Israel hired him. So now he's kind of like a war correspondent. And I've been watching him for several years, so I trust him. And he says, well, Iran faces several drought. Actually, I'll just let him say it.
Iran does not have water in the forecast for the next 7 days. This is bad news for many people. Millions of people might need to move from the city centers to other places to deal with this crisis, with these issues. But what the leadership of Iran is doing and saying is that they are ready to launch another war against Israel. They're talking about 2,000 ballistic missiles, rockets, that will be fired at the Jewish state every single day. That's an escalation from the 500 rockets that was launched all together, the 12-day war between Israel and Iran. So they want to invest all their money in weapons and in war instead of in managing the water crisis. That's very bad news for the Iranian people. Let's pray for them. Let's hope that they have better leadership. It's sad that these regimes would prefer death and destruction under the life and the future for their people. But this is a spiritual war, so we need to keep praying.
So he's actually a Messianic Jew, so he's Jewish and he believes in Jesus. So I started listening to him a lot because he has a unique perspective. Now, this is also an important one I want to show you. So this is where he's talking about the president of Syria, who used to be the leader of Al-Qaeda before they took over Syria recently, went to the States. And he's an Israeli, so he's going to give his perspective of, what's his name? Ahmed al-Shar... No, I don't think... Yeah, that's him. Ahmed al-Shahriyar. But I don't remember his he got a new name now, like a Western name. All right. Yair Pinto, explain it.
Some good news coming out of Syria. El-Julani, or Ashara, former Al-Qaeda leader, had a good meeting with the United States President Donald Trump, stating that Trump will make a statement regarding the Israel-Syria relationship very soon. So that's big news on a potential security agreement between Israel and Syria and the northern part of Israel. That will be good for us, good for Syria. And there's also talk about Syria joining the Abraham Accords. So I don't know what will happen, but let's pray for the situation. Looks pretty promising. But the cool part is that the United States wants to make sure that there are boots on the ground by the United States or by international forces that are making sure that all these agreements are being fulfilled and that the terrorists do not gain their weapons and their foothold on the borders of Israel.
So if they join Abraham Accords, that means they'll trade with Israel and there'll be a lot more peace and a lot more working together. So that hopefully that'll put a stop to any of the persecution that the Druze and the Christians are facing in Syria as well. Cross your fingers for that. Now this is a little report showing you how bad it is, the water crisis in Iran.
Iran is grappling with its worst water crisis in decades, with officials warning that Tehran, a city of more than 10 million people, may soon be uninhabitable if the drought continues.
Wait, let's go back. Before, after. Before, after. Before, after.
President Masoud Pezeshkian cautioned that if rainfall does not arrive by December, the government must start rationing water in Tehran, and even then, citizens may still need to evacuate the city. But Iran's water crisis is not solely the result of low rainfall. Decades of mismanagement, including overbuilding of dams, illegal well drilling, and inefficient agricultural practices have depleted reserves. That's according to dozens of critics and water experts who spoke to state media in recent days. The mismanagement sparked protests over water shortages in both 2018 and 2021. The government has blamed the crisis on various factors such as the policies of past governments, climate change, and overconsumption. The water shortage is straining citizens already struggling under the weight of a crippled economy.
If the government had the capability, it wouldn't have let things reach this capability. It wouldn't have let things reach this point, you know? They shouldn't have allowed it to come to this. What is the government supposed to do? It's the same managers. What do they expect them to do? They don't even make use of experts.
State media said that Iran's National Water and Wastewater Company has dismissed reports of formal rationing in Tehran, but confirmed that nightly water pressure reductions were being applied and could drop to zero in some districts. The public has been urged to install storage tanks, pumps, and other devices to avoid major disruption. The capital depends entirely on 5 reservoirs fed from rivers outside the city, but experts say they are only half full and could run dry within 2 weeks at current consumption levels. The crisis extends far beyond Tehran. Nationwide, 19 major dams, roughly 10% of Iran's total, have effectively run dry. In Mashhad, Iran's second largest city with a population of 4 million, water reserves have plunged below 3%.
Oh, 3%. Okay, so next up, this is going to show you the before and after, okay, of what it looked like close up. So this is how much water they had before.
این تنگه قاسمی
Now this is after.
که الان کاملا خوش شده در ری که تمام در نوردا باش خاطره دارن. این هم خروجی که با قایقا میومدن.
So you can see they lost a lot of water. And now, breaking, as of today, a Marshall Islands flagged tanker en route from the UAE to Singapore abruptly changed course toward Iranian waters, according to security firm Ambre, raising serious concern of a hijacking by Iran's terror regime. And then this is the Iran Observer. I'm not sure. This could be propaganda, guys, but breaking. Iran carried out a retaliatory operation. The seizure of the oil tanker Talara in the Persian Gulf is a response to an attack on an Iranian vessel near Yemen. So I don't know if I believe this. I don't have any evidence of this. This is just allegedly. But it does, the point is, it does confirm the seizure of an oil tank. Now, this is a submarine test, a submarine missile test. And this is not, I don't think this is an intercontinental, but it's a submarine ballistic missile. And I thought it was really cool, so check it out. Crazy. That was back in September. We're going to see some nuclear launches soon, according to Trump. So that's just a little teaser. Next up, we have the Babylon Bee deleted a post this morning that said Megyn Kelly gets rid of old pager just to be safe. And she said, "What the fuck, Seth Dillon?" And he deleted it after she called him out. So I thought that was kind of funny, but also people are going to go mad over this, right? This is going to be huge, I think. That's why he deleted it. And then this is George Santo, fresh out of jail after getting pardoned by Trump for being put in jail for way too long because of lawfare, like his political opponents, basically. And he actually said something that I thought was very smart, which is strange because George Santos was considered like sort of like, you know, dipsy, I'll say, you know, like fun, happy-go-lucky type of guy, and not so much of like a serious, like down to business type of guy. But he actually surprised me here when he said, "So my theory was right all along. Merrick Garland probably spent 4 years creating fake evidence to exonerate Clinton and incriminate Trump. These emails are likely manipulated and fake. Now we will watch the country be torn apart by yet another Joe Biden-era deception. The emails are just another distraction." And now The Hill, which is the newspaper for Capitol Hill, which is like the White House and all that stuff. Epstein in new email said Bill Clinton was never on the island. So that's going to be you're going to hear a lot of people talking about that too. And next up, Tucker gets fact-checked by the FBI in real time. So the FBI has never said Thomas Crook had no online fingerprint ever. But they did say, you can see here, Viva Fry put down, there was an article somewhere that said generally had a few social contacts and little social media presence. So Tucker took the little social media presence, or someone did, and turned it into no social media presence, and then it got spread around, and people didn't look into it. So Tucker, I don't know if Tucker like did this on purpose or if he just got his facts mixed up here, but the FBI told us Thomas Crooks tried to kill Donald Trump last summer, but somehow had no online footprint. The FBI lied, and we can prove it because we have his posts. The question is why? Story tomorrow. So I think he did his story yesterday or today. I haven't seen it yet. I might do a special report on it if it's important enough. I think a lot of it is getting fact checked now, so I don't want to like report on it and then it's all like half of it is fake and the other half is not, and then we don't know what's fake and what's not. Then I got to do another, So anyway, Castle report or Castle law. So this is James McMurdoch. He's an MP for the UK. And he said, tonight an Amazon delivery driver let himself into my home. It was lucky that I was in the right place to confront him immediately, but it shocked me. And the question that keeps coming back to me is this. What if my wife or teenage daughter had been standing in my place? The footage is clear. The driver approaches the door, breathing heavily. He checks the handle and pushes his way inside. So he said he calls the cops. The cops say it's trespass. It's a civil matter. There's nothing we can do. So this shocked him. So he said, under the current law, if a stranger walks into your house, the police may not attend. Right? So let's watch the video. So I don't know what he was trying to do here. But maybe he was going to put the package in on the door. Maybe he was going to break in and like steal something. Maybe he wanted to do something even more nefarious. We don't know. But I said that trespassing is when you walk on land you aren't supposed to. This is breaking and entering and is, in fact, under the scope of things police are supposed to respond to. Let me know what you guys think down below. Am I right? Is he right? James MP? Are the cops right? Next up, castle law in Canada is also becoming a big thing because a man shot a home invader and now he's in court, and another man died from a home invasion. He got killed in a home invasion. So now this is from September 6th, but I thought it was still important now because it's being brought up as a bill in the UK and probably Canada.
At this point, you are obligated to use what I think is...
Now this is David Menzies. He's from Rebel News. I'm not sure who these two people are, but this is Joe. Sorry, Joe, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. But Joe is the leader of the Canada First movement.
Is any means necessary, yes, even lethal force to protect you and your loved ones. And no, there shouldn't be any charges because one of the biggest problems, Joe, they say unreasonable force, unnecessary force. Define it. Nobody can. Isn't this a catch-22 we're in?
It really is, and it really puts people in a predicament where, they want to protect their families, they want to be able to, but this fear of, it's usually the person that it's happening to is the one that gets in trouble or the one that gets arrested. So, all this fear that they've been pushing, it makes people, kind of helpless and like, I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't type of situation. But I can tell you this, I mean, if someone were to break into my house where I have my family, I have my 2 kids, I also have a massive dog waiting for them at the door, they may get in, but they probably won't be leaving. And that's an absolute fact. And basically, they were never there.
Oh.
All right. So next up we have what's being called an Islamist coup in the UK. And I got to hurry through this because I don't have much time. But Dan Wooten says the plotters against Slippery Starmer are deliberately, because remember we said yesterday that Keir Starmer, they're trying to oust Keir Starmer, right? So are deliberately protecting the real coup leader, Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood, while sacrificing Wes Streeting, who has zero chance of ever winning over Labour's Islamist hard left. Here's the truth the MSM will not tell you.
The mainstream media isn't telling you the truth about the coup against Slippery Starmer's Britain's failed Prime Minister, which has burst into the open this week. Certainly it's disastrous for our worst and most unpopular leader in history, whose phase 3 is oblivion. But the decision to protect the coup leader, Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood, and instead throw the Health Secretary Wes Streeting, who doesn't have a hope in hell of convincing the hard left and Labour to make him leader, well, it's purposeful. And as this new graphic shows, Mahmood is exactly where she wants to be. Very much in contention, but allowing Streeting and Andy Burnham to take the heat for bringing down a democratically elected Prime Minister. Mark my words, though, this coup against Starmer has Islamist roots, as Labour is being obliterated on the hard left by the openly Islamist Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana mob and tip whisperers at Polanski's soaring Green Party. Mahmood, in the view of Labour leftists, is the woman who can change all of that.
Islam, my own religion, like a lot of practicing Muslims, my faith is the most important thing in my life. It is the absolute driver of everything that I do. I feel a very strong calling of my own conscience, and my conscience calls me to God.
The Spectator reported that others claim Shabana Mahmood is also a favourite for the top job. Angela Rayner and Miliband's name have also cropped up. And Politico added that the Telegraph's Ben Riley-Smith picked up last night on some heat heading the Home Secretary's way too, amid claims from Keir's supporters that she is also plotting to replace him. A Mahmood ally told the paper this was nonsense coming from one big number 10 operation to shore up Starmer's position, but some noticed that the focus on Streeting versus Starmer may assist Mahmood, who is increasingly talked about alongside the Health Secretary as a potential future leader. Enter stage right, Labour peer and Blue Labour lad Maurice Glassman, a big fan of the Home Secretary, on Newsnight where he slagged off Streeting as a Blairite apparatchik out of the student union and described Mahmood as the only one of really genuine quality of the whole lot. Look at this moment.
Is this Home Secretary the right woman to address some of those issues?
For me, absolutely. I mean, she's the only one of really genuine quality of the whole lot. But she's got a job to do. She's got to stop the boat. She's got to sort out the prisons. So at the moment, I'm not in favour of any challenge to the Prime Minister and full support for Shabana Mahmood in the work she's doing.
Okay, so she wants it. They want her to have it, right? Now, watch this. This is leave them when they tell you their intentions. I'm not going to say that, but Sharia law enjoyer Iqbal Muhammad states that Muslims will take over not just Birmingham, but the entire country. Ban foreigners from politics now.
These events, these activities, this unity must grow and continue and take over not just parts of Birmingham, but the whole of Birmingham, the whole of the West Midlands, the whole of the UK.
I'd like to point out that this meeting, no Jewish people were allowed, and so that's why he felt comfortable saying this.
Grassroots democracy in action, and we, our communities, have shown the establishment and the rest of the country that we will not be taken for granted, and we will win. The establishment know that if you let one person stand up to them and speak the truth to people about what power is doing to them, then more people will stand up, and there will come a point when we all stand up against oppression, against injustice, and against corruption in politics. You see the power of solidarity. You see the power of solidarity, the power of all of us together. Individually, we may feel helpless, lonely, often frightened. Together, nothing can stop us. No tyrant can rule us. No party, government, or dictator can demand from us subservience. Together, we are powerful. Remember that and take that message onto the streets of Birmingham and share it with every single person you know in this country and abroad.
All right, so there's that. Now, next up, we have a warning that comes from the Saudis. So let's listen to what he has to say.
When will the United States finally ban the Muslim Brotherhood? It's a question that keeps coming up, and a question America cannot afford to keep ignoring. On September 30th, this September, Israeli journalist and writer Eitan Fishberger highlighted a new research paper published by the Center for Sawab, a joint initiative between the UAE and the United States.
I actually follow Ethan too.
And the findings are clear. The Muslim Brotherhood rejects national identity, pushing instead for a global caliphate.
Now, if you don't know what a caliphate is, it's kind of like the Ottoman Empire was, right?
Something that many people do not know. They master double discourse or double speak.
But it comes from a certain belief in Islam where A descendant of Muhammad can become a caliph, which is like a divine authority or a leader. And then this divine authority can call the rest of the people to join him, and then when all the caliphs come together or are led by one caliph, I can't really remember how it works, that's called a caliphate. So it's basically like a giant army of religious people.
Speaking
religious Muslim, certain, I'm not sure if it's all of them or just some of them.
Softly in English to the West, but preaching extremism in Arabic. And though they are weakened in the Middle East, they've entrenched themselves in Western democracies, exploiting NGOs, lobbying, and even institutions to influence policy from within. The Israeli journalists asked the right question. If the US knows all this, why hasn't it classified the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization? Let's be honest. The UAE is leading the world in confronting this ideological threat through research, through education, through decisive action. The UAE has shown what zero tolerance for extremism looks like. That's why in the UAE, we don't see the rise of anti-Semitism or spread of radical Islamist ideologies the way we see in the US, the Netherlands, and like what we saw yesterday in Manchester. The Muslim Brotherhood's playbook is clear. Infiltrate governments and civil institutions, target the youth with radical discourse, use religion as a cover for political power, and finally, hinder peace and stability efforts, fueling division and conflict. This isn't Islam. It's Islamism, a dangerous ideology. And every day the West refuses to confront it.
I don't know if I believe that, because I think a lot of it is Islam, but we'll see.
It puts its own freedom at risk. So I ask again, when will the US ban the Muslim Brotherhood? When will Western leaders learn from those of us in the Middle East who have seen the damage firsthand? Because the longer we wait, the more space we give extremists to recruit, manipulate, and destabilize societies. The international community must act together. Cooperation, information sharing, and a united stand against extremism are the only way forward. The UAE showed everyone the courage to lead. Now it's time for the West to follow.
Well, to be fair, the United States told you to do that, but the United States stopped doing it themselves for some reason. Okay, this is live footage of Governor Newsom. You can see he had something to say here. So let's see what he said.
Wildfires have destroyed millions of acres of the state, displaced countless amounts of family. Do you take responsibility for any of this? And is there anything more you think you could have done?
Not really. I think these fires were very devastating. I think the full scope of what actually has happened, we're not there yet. Okay, these people's houses are just destroyed. People are suffering. People are sad. But we're Californians. We're going to push through. We're going to push through. And where we're going, the vision is 10 times bigger than anybody else can even imagine.
Former President Trump has recently criticized your leadership, saying that you failed California. What's your response to him, and what does the future of California look like?
To be honest with you, I try to block that rhetoric, because the words that come out of his mouth, all the words out of his lips, they don't mean anything to me. He needs to use these more, because the future of California is bright. It's so bright. When you really try to look at it, I mean, really, really look at how bright it is, you're going to need shades to live in California 24 hours a day.
Critics are saying that you're all hand gestures and no action. What's your response to that?
I think people are wrong. Okay, they need to wake up. I speak with passion. I speak with fire, no pun intended. And I feel if I use my hands a lot, people won't be focused on the lies that are coming out of my mouth, because I lie a lot. So I want to distract them with my hands.
Interesting. Wait.
What?
Where'd my gum go?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. Would you look at that? You know what? This gum is just like California. It's sticky, it's resilient, and it'll bounce back.
You're a scumbag.
Thank you.
That was actually Vincent Oshana. He works at Valuetainment. He does like sketches and stuff. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then last up, we have this amazing story. So let's check it out.
One of my favorite stories is in a mother's womb were two babies, and one turns to the other and says, "Do you believe in life after delivery?" And the other replies, "Why, of course, there has to be something after delivery. Maybe we're here to prepare ourselves for what will be later." "Nonsense," said the first. "There's no life after delivery. What kind of life would that be?" "I don't know," said the second, "but there'll be more light than here. Maybe we'll walk with our legs and eat with our mouths. Maybe we'll have other senses we can't understand now." First goes, "That's ridiculous. Walking is impossible, and eating with our mouths, that's absurd. The umbilical cord is what scientifically supplies nutrition and all that we need, but it's far too short. Life after delivery is to be logically excluded." And the second says, "What if it's just different than it is here? Maybe we don't need that physical cord anymore." The first goes, "Okay, if there were life after delivery, then tell me, why has no one ever come back from there? Delivery is the end of life, and in the after delivery is nothing but darkness and silence and oblivion. It takes us nowhere." And the second says, "But certainly we'll meet Mother, and she'll take care of us." The first goes, "Mother? You actually believe in Mother? If Mother exists, where is she now?" And the second goes, "She's all around us. We are of her. It is in her that we live. Without her, this world would not and could not exist." And the first says, "I don't see her. It's only logical that she's not here." To which the second replied, "Sometimes, when you're in silence and you really listen, you can perceive her presence. You can hear her loving voice calling down from above."
That's my show for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, share, subscribe, and follow. And God bless and peace be with you.